David Hertel in For Lies. Thank you for joining us. Well, we're coming up now on a month since the devastating attack by Hamas, which took the lives of over 1,400 Israelis and killed 6 Canadians, over 240 hostages in Gaza. To have an update on the situation, we go to former military reporter. We refer to her as A. She joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for making the time.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So are you in or around Tel Aviv right now? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm living just south of Tel Aviv right now.
Okay, so
I lived in Tel Aviv for about 10 years, and
you're with your family, I hear.
I am because a month into the war, it's still not 100% back to normal here.
So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So children are not in daycare as usual, as they usually are. Schools aren't running as usual. They're much better than they were at the outbreak of the war. But because of the ongoing rocket attacks, and we saw today, just about 2 hours ago, so an hour ago, Hamas fire 16 rockets to northern Israel, down towards Haifa.
Okay, so the sirens go off regularly still.
Oh yes.
And
yeah.
What is the latest you can tell us about the status of the war? What are you hearing from your sources on the status of the Israeli response to Hamas's attacks?
So what the Israeli Defense Ministry, Prime Minister, and military have said over and over again is that they are ready to continue this war for as long as it need be, whether that be months, whether that be weeks, but we're hearing more that it will be months before Hamas is completely annihilated. But
go ahead.
What comes after is going to be even longer.
And so on the ground, I mean, there's been a lot of talk, especially in the U.S., but here also in Canada, about obviously the protests we're seeing, the pro-Hamas protests that we're seeing in Europe as well. How are those perceived in Israel?
Well, a lot of people can't wrap their head around it, because the whole war began with a brutal attack by Hamas. It wasn't as if Israel went in and broke the ceasefire that had been in place, like Israel had done in the past. Israel had gone on several military operations in Gaza. And so we understood why there are protests happening. But now when we see people ripping down posters of missing babies, I saw a comment that we don't even rip down posters of missing dogs, and yet you're ripping down posters of missing babies. So it's very hurtful. And there's a lot of people I've spoken to who went abroad at the beginning of the war and who are now coming back to Israel because they feel safer in Israel, where there's rocket fire, rather than be in Europe, such as London or Paris or Greece.
Really? It's gotten to that point?
Yeah.
My goodness. So there's also, we're getting a lot of information here that for Benjamin Netanyahu is blamed in a big way for what happened and the status of Israeli defense forces on October 7th, and that politically his position has been seriously weakened. What's the situation politically right now in Israel?
So in Israel, it's very, people are not understanding why he hasn't yet taken responsibility for the attack. Why he hasn't taken responsibility for the failure, whereas the head of the military has said so. Multiple politicians have said so. The head of the Shin Bet has said so, but he said, I'm going to wait till after. And people don't understand that. A lot of his supporters were from southern Israel, were from the city of Sderot. At the same time, there are people who are still cheering for him.
Would you?
There was.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Sorry.
There was a soldier who was rescued, and people outside her home were cheering for Bibi. And it wasn't Bibi that rescued her. It wasn't Netanyahu that rescued her. It was the army and the Shin Bet, and yet they were cheering for him.
And so you mentioned earlier, I get the sense that there's still obviously support for the war in Israel. But you mentioned the after. I mean, we're talking about a very difficult, complex campaign on the ground. But what are the discussions that you're hearing in Israel about what comes after? Because yes, it's going to be a long, difficult struggle. But afterwards, there's going to be a time where we're going to have to move beyond the current situation. And what is the thinking right now in Israel about that?
Well, people are still worried about the war, right? We're only a month into the war, and they're still saying, okay, well, where are the hostages? The Israeli population themselves aren't yet thinking about the day after.
Okay.
Because many are just stuck in, what are we doing right now? Where are we?
And what would be the message that we need to understand, or what do you feel that here in the West we're not getting or we're not understanding? I mean, there's some voices in the U.S. that are still contesting. We're seeing in university campuses, we're seeing protests here in Montreal, Toronto. We're seeing very ugly messages out there, but support seems to be remaining strong. But what do you want us to keep top of mind as this war continues?
I think, like I said before, Israel didn't start this war. There was a ceasefire on October 6th. Hamas came in 3,000 men strong and slaughtered innocent people in their homes. In one case, there was a family where the father was shot, a baby was put in the oven, a mother was raped multiple times, and Hamas burnt down their home. The fact that the entire world cannot grasp that and is denying that makes it more than just anti-Israel or anti-Semitic. It's anti-humanity. And I think that's what we're fighting for here. We would not have gone into Gaza. And I say we as the state of Israel, the IDF, would not have gone into Gaza if October 7th hadn't happened. The Israeli government was giving over 20,000 work permits for Gazans to come and work in Israel in order to provide for their families. And look where we are today. So I really call on everyone to look at humanity, what was taken, what was destroyed, and really hope that the day after, when we can see the day after, that the hatred goes away and that people can work together and really work together. That's what I have to say for that.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with us. I hope you and your family stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll respect her anonymity. She goes by A. She's a former military reporter who is joining us from Tel Aviv in Israel.